All right, I have a few things today to catch you up on. First and foremost, we have been waiting to see what happens in Georgia with the subpoenas of Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and Trump's former lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. With Rudy Giuliani, his lawyer recently told a judge in New York he is not fit to travel for medical reasons. He can't fly down, to which the judge said there's other ways to get down to Atlanta. You could take an Uber. You could take a car. There's other ways to get down there. You could take a train. That is pending with Rudy Giuliani. However, yesterday, Lindsey Graham was supposed to show up at a courthouse in Fulton County, and he did not. 46 News from Atlanta reporting Senator Lindsey Graham a no-show at scheduled Fulton County court appearance. This is what we know right now. Lindsey Graham didn't show up. He was subpoenaed to testify in a special grand jury investigation looking at whether Trump and others broke laws when they tried to overturn the results of Joe Biden's win in Georgia in 2020. Lindsey's one of the people, Trump allies, that the district attorney Fani Willis wants to question. Graham said previously he would fight the subpoena. His attorneys say the probe is politically motivated, and Graham was indeed ordered to testify on August 2nd. The petition states that the state of Georgia will pay travel expenses and witness fees. Lindsey didn't show up. Now, this thing of political motivation, this is another one of their catch-alls that they're using, and hopefully it won't be allowed to stand. The idea, what they want us to hear when they say this is politically motivated, is there's no empirical or factual basis to even be doing this. When they go, these are politically motivated investigations, they want you to believe the person doing the investigation is so blinded by political bias that they are investigating or prosecuting or doing or subpoenaing on the basis of their political beliefs, not on the basis of their responsibility as law enforcement and prosecution. Of course, that's absurd, but more importantly, these are alleged political crimes. If you try to overturn an election and have the guy who lost given the electoral votes, that is politically motivated. Even though Biden won, you're a Republican and Trump's a Republican and you want Trump to be president. It's fundamentally political. And so it really loses its value to say that the investigation is political. Well, if you mean that it's not based on fact, we can talk about that. But writing it off as politically in the political sphere has no meaning whatsoever when these are politicians trying to achieve political wins through subterfuge and potentially criminality, and that's what's being investigated. They were politically motivated actions that they took. And this is the same Republican projection that we've been following for a long time. I did something bad that was politically motivated, and then when you investigate, I'll say you were doing this based on political motivation. It's sort of like Democrats are going to commit fraud and try to take an election that the voters don't really want them to win. Well, actually, that's what you're doing. Joe Biden won, and you were trying to take an election that the voters didn't actually want you to win. And I would just write it off as pitiable, except this stuff is really effective. This stuff is effective. I mean, in the aftermath of the 2020 election, nearly 60% of Republicans fell for it, and they believed actually Donald Trump won. We've been talking about how effective these silly things are in the context of Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker is speaking of Georgia, the Senate Republican nominee in Georgia facing off against the incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. And Herschel Walker doesn't want to debate. And I understand why, because Herschel Walker can't speak. And so Herschel Walker is now starting to say, Warnock won't debate me. And it's so predictable, and it's so pathetic, and it's so absurd, but it works because the Trumpists hear Warnock's the one who won't debate. And they will believe it, and they will repeat it, and they won't allow it to dissuade them from voting for a guy, Herschel Walker, in November, who quite literally cannot explain anything. He cannot explain his view on anything. He can't speak. So sadly, it's working for the right to say these are politically motivated investigations, even if it means absolutely nothing. Closing the loop on a couple of other stories. This is from it's from the weekend at CPAC in Texas. Marjorie Taylor Greene, and actually this may not have been at CPAC. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It was around the time that CPAC took place. Marjorie Taylor Greene is insisting there were no Trump rioters on January 6th. It was Antifa. But she also says that the Trump people are being treated poorly by being held in pretrial detention. Well, but so what?
Real honest, I'm always honest about it. I was upset that day. I was a brand new member of Congress. I'd worked very hard on objecting to Joe Biden's electoral college votes because I believe that was my role and what I wanted to do. And
that was her desire.
I believe it was the right thing. I would do it today. I would do it tomorrow.
Oof.
But I was very upset. I never expected anything like that. And when it happened, I thought, this is Antifa. And no one can convince me it was so-called Trump supporters. Right. But and we know there's a lot wrong there, and I cannot wait for real investigations.
Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, we will do real. But let me say this though. Yeah.
And then Marjorie Taylor Greene also pointing out they will indeed do investigations of the investigation into January 6th if they get into power in November. That I believe her. I do believe that she's actually telling the truth about that. The weirdest thing about this is that Marjorie Taylor Greene, on the one hand, wants us to believe the people being investigated and charged for the things they did on January 6, 2021 are being treated poorly because they're Trump supporters. But at the same time, she insists they weren't really Trump supporters. It was Antifa, for which, of course, there is no evidence whatsoever. So how could both be true? How could it be that the Trump supporters didn't do anything on January 6th, and also the Trump supporters from January 6th aren't being treated correctly by the justice system and by the jail system in which they are being held in pretrial detention? Well, I'm sure she can find some way to explain it to people who pay no attention to reality. It would probably be something like, well, here's what happened. Pretend I'm a moron, right? Pretend I'm trying to figure out a way to make both of these things plausible. Here's the way that they would do it. There were Trumpists in D.C. on January 6th, but none of them committed any acts of violence or property crime or anything. They weren't the rioters. Antifa did the riots, and then law enforcement arrested innocent Trump supporters who were there just for the rally and is treating them poorly in bad conditions, one guy without vegan food in pretrial detention. I think that's the way someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene puts the two stories together. It wasn't Antifa. It was Trump supporters. As if we didn't have already 5 or 6 things happen this week that were completely beyond parody. MyPillow. You guys remember Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow?
We're doing a class action lawsuit against all machines.
Yeah, that guy. He has a new deadline. And honestly, at this point, is this just a joke? Because you can even see Steve Bannon standing in the background. This was at CPAC. I'm pretty confident over the weekend. Again, Pillow says the new deadline. It's August 20, August 21. That's like 8, 9, 10 days from now. He says it's going to happen. We're going to see the biggest change the country has ever seen. And even though he's put together, 15, 20 different deadlines so far, none of which have gone anywhere, do people still believe this? Is it possible someone is dumb enough to still believe this?
I'm telling you, after the 20th and the 21st of August, the aftermath of that, you're gonna see the biggest change this country has ever seen, and you're gonna also see judges. I said this before. Everyone says, well, Mike, what do you mean the judges? You go back a year and a half. Not one judge looked at evidence except for Antrim County, Michigan, but he didn't want to rule on it. And those judges back then, they have families. They have neighbors, they have grandchildren. They were afraid. I'm telling you, they were afraid. But a year and a half later, after everyone's seen the destruction of our country, what has slowed that destruction have been the judges. How about those 100? If you have 100 people in your company, you have to take a shot and become a junkie.
Question 1 is, does Steve Bannon have any idea what Pillow's talking about? Question 2 is, does the crowd?
Just stop that, okay? How about the judge in Florida that made the great ruling about the mask mandates on airplane? Changed our history. How about Roe v. Wade, huh?
So, listen, if you are still credulously believing this guy after the gigamillionth time that he has pulled this act, you just want to be taken for a ride. It's sort of like, take my money. What can I donate to? The audits, to give me something to donate to. This guy has been, first it was going to be by December of 2020, then January, certainly by January 6th, then by January 20th, Inauguration Day. Then it would be by March or April, Trump was going to be back. It was going to be late spring. It was going to be early summer. It was going to be August of 2021. Then it was going to be Thanksgiving 2021. Do you think that Pillow even believes this? I have to tell you, from what people are telling me who know this guy personally, people in the media and whatnot, he really seems to be off the rails, completely off the rails, and he may actually believe this stuff. And it doesn't seem to be untrue that this entire thing flying around the country with the machines.
We're doing a class action lawsuit against all machines.
Speaking at the rallies, everything. It genuinely seems to have ruined his relationship with his family. So I'm increasingly of the mindset that he does believe it. Let me know what you think. We have a fantastic membership program for the David Pakman Show. We do an extra show every day for our members. And all it takes to get access is to sign up at joinpakman.com. That's it. Takes about a minute for someone of average computer with average computer proficiency. You can use the coupon code BIGVOTING22 if you would like a discount. And then every single day, you'll get the bonus show and you'll get the commercial-free audio and video feed of the show. It's a beautiful thing. Don't forget that the best way to support the David Pakman Show is by becoming a member, which gives you access to the daily bonus show, the regular show with no commercials. You also get access to our entire archive of every episode dating back a really long time and plenty of other awesome membership perks. Go to joinpakman.com and use the coupon code BETTER21 for a huge discount. Joinpakman.com. The David Pakman Show is a viewer-supported program which depends on support from not other people, but from people like you. People who might watch a clip on YouTube or listen to a podcast or watch us on TV or listen on the radio. You can sign up for a membership at joinpakman.com. And you can use the coupon code, not mandatory, but available. You can use the coupon code BIGVOTING22 to get yourself a discount. Let's chat with people from the audience. So important. I want to hear from you. Without you, I'm a guy in a room and it's sad and nobody listens. So we do these calls via Discord at davidpakman.com/Discord. We're going to start today, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, with, is it Tanya from Texas? Is that the way it's pronounced? Tanya from Texas, welcome. You have to unmute yourself. I've unmuted you, but I can see you have muted yourself. Tanya, welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, since the 2020 election, I have had a suspicion that the fact that Biden won the White House and Republicans won the Senate had something to do with a whole bunch of new voters coming out and not voting down ballot.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Curious.
Tanya, Democrats won the Senate. What do you mean Republicans won the Senate?
I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing great.
With what everyone was referring to as a mandate to work together, because
wait, so let's take a step back, Tanya, so I can figure it out. So
yes,
in 2020, Joe Biden won the White House and took it from Trump. Democrats secured the Senate with a 50-50 Senate, but Kamala Harris is the tie-breaking vote, and Democrats controlled the House. Are we on the same page as far as that goes?
Yes.
Okay. So your question was?
There was talk about this mandate for Biden to work together with the other side because of
Tanya.
Oh my gosh, I'm curious. Okay, I'm gonna just reduce it to this.
Please.
Your thoughts on the fact that people need to vote all the way down the ballot. I never hear anyone talking about it. It seems like it would have consequences.
Absolutely, Tanya. We must all vote. We must all vote all the way down the ballot. If you show up and you check a box for senator in November, and then you don't do congressperson, you don't do gubernatorial, you don't do attorney general, secretary of state, state senate, all of the, I mean, listen, you get to, you're going there once and voting. You might as well make your voice heard on every single one of them. And people not doing that, Tanya, helps Republicans sneak in these extremists into local office. So you better do your homework and be ready to fill out your ballot fully and completely, please.
Yes, I agree. And I wonder why that's not a major topic of discussion. I appreciate your patience with me. Thank you so much.
Tanya, it's been a pleasure. Things are okay in Texas?
I'm hanging on in there, and I'm hoping for Beto.
Okay. We're all hoping. All right. Thank you, Tanya. Very much appreciate it. An important issue, which we landed on there. Let's go next to Adam from Knoxville, Tennessee. Adam, welcome, sir.
Hey, David. Great to talk to you, sir.
My pleasure.
Hey, I have a quick question about the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
Sure.
Are we going to get like a press release from the FBI kind of detailing exactly what the evidentiary basis was for the raid or something
I have
like that?
absolutely no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I mean, listen, it's not a requirement that the FBI do that. Sometimes the FBI on prominent cases will brief the public. As of this recording of, you and me talking now, that has not been done. I'm very interested at knowing whether they looked very strongly at elements of bathrooms during the raid, and it's just not something that they're telling us. So I want more information, but honestly, and by the way, listen, Donald Trump can release the search warrant as well. I know Lara Trump went on Fox News and said he doesn't have it. Well, he might not physically have it, but his lawyers obviously do. He can release the search warrant at any time to prove how bogus it all was. He's not chosen to do that.
Yeah, right. And I have some friends on the right, and I'm a little concerned that the basis wasn't super strong.
Really?
Like from an optics or political standpoint, the right is going to use it as like kind of a martyrdom for Trump.
Well, of course, I mean, they're going to do that no matter what.
Yeah.
They've already been saying he's the biggest victim of anybody ever, all this different stuff. So that's where I agree. They will say that either way. Mm-hmm. Where I agree with you, Adam, is it would be really bad if there was not a strong evidentiary basis for this. And so I am giving the benefit of the doubt that if the attorney general signed off on this, the FBI director signed off on it, a judge signed off on it, until proven otherwise, I'm going to assume that it was all done correctly. But if that's not the case, I'll be the first one here telling you that was not done right.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you. Can I ask you a quick cultural question?
Sure.
Follow up. Are you a fan of Astor Piazzolla?
Yeah. I mean, in a casual sense, I'm not like a connoisseur of his music. For people wondering, Piazzolla was a very, very well-known Argentinian tango singer. And I don't know do you know offhand when he died? How long has he been not around?
No, it's been a while. He played, was he a singer? I thought he was he played the bandoneon.
Is that even
might have been
true?
A singer too.
You may be right. He may not even have been a singer. But yeah, I'm a fan of Argentinian tango. It's sort of in my blood, as they say.
Yeah, Astor Piazzolla is one of my favorite musicians of all time. So
beautiful. All right. Well, Adam, you sound like a man of culture. I appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Thanks for the time.
Adam from Knoxville, very, very strongly participating in today's show. You love to hear it. Why don't we go next to, you know who I want to speak to? Hey, Snake from Moscow. Welcome. Are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Snake, people in the audience were worried about you because we learned last week or the week before that a Russian teacher had been prosecuted and sentenced for telling her students her view on what's going on in Russia. And you and I, when we last spoke, you said if the government figured out who you were, you're a teacher as well, that it could be very bad for you. But I'm so glad to find out that it is not you that has been prosecuted and sentenced.
Yeah, unfortunately, Irina again has received a 5-year suspended sentence.
Yeah.
What makes this particular case very heartbreaking is that basically during the, I think it's called the discovery stage of the case, it was found out that a group of 8th graders that she was teaching, they basically goaded her and provoked her into that type of conversation. And then they submitted the recording of that session with the help of their parents to the investigative committee of Russia, which is not great. Let me put it
Wow,
that
it's
way.
almost like entrapment by 13-year-olds in a way.
Yeah, I mean, people usually think that, oh, teenagers, they're just, they're so innocent. But no, some teenagers are not benevolent. They're outright malicious and malevolent.
Wow. Well,
But
what's
no,
on your mind today, Snake?
basically, I just, today is the first day that I'm back on the server, and a bunch of people told me that you all thought that I got arrested. But no, I'm just down with COVID again. And
Oh,
basically what I wanted to tell you is a very weird thing that has been happening in the Russian educational system when it comes to higher education in universities.
okay.
This summer, considering that they need to hold back the sympathies of all the soldiers and all the policemen, all of Rosguardia, Russian government has created special quotas for children, family members of those particular law enforcement officers, as well as special quotas for people that are being deported from Ukraine into Russia. Basically, it was a carte blanche that allowed people to enroll into any university, onto any program, without passing any type of exams that would signify that a person has graduated from school. So 43,000 or more such quotas were created across Russian universities. And considering just how lenient this admissions process is for such people from those categories, it's really surprising that those quotas have not been filled at all. For example, in my university, we received 150 such quotas. We had 120 applications, and only over 90 people actually got enrolled.
Huh.
And
What do
I
you
talked
think
to-
is going on? Why are people not attending?
First and foremost, another thing you have to know about the admissions process in Russia is that you register for the admission process using your pension number. So every person who achieves a certain age receives a card called SNILS, which is your future pension, how do you say it, identification card for your pension. So it's very, very easy to dox a person if you take their pension ID number and then look through various government registries. So I think that a lot of those people got really scared that they will be really heavily doxed and will face some sort of retribution in the society.
Wow. That's an incredible situation. Snake, one question for you. I recently finished reading an extraordinary book by Ben McIntyre about a Russian intelligence officer who was spying against Russia for the UK, named Oleg Gordievsky. Is that a name you are familiar with?
Unfortunately, I'm not in that particular period of historical studies, but I will try to email you if I find any relevant information. I'm very skeptical of anybody that's a former spy, because spies can be bought and traded on average.
Oh yeah, no, this is a why it's not. No, I'm not. I'm just wondering if it's like if people within Russia know about him, because internationally his story has been extensively documented. He's still alive. I think he's in his 70s, but something to look into, Snake.
Yeah, I will look. So McIntyre on Gordienko, right?
Yes, Oleg Gordievsky is my anglicized pronunciation of the gentleman's name.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Snake from Moscow, stay safe out there. A lot happening. A lot happening. Let's go next to Guillaume from Montreal. Guillaume, I am anxiously and imminently waiting to go to Montreal. I will be there very, very soon.
Hey, David, you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Guillaume.
Perfect. Thank you, David, for having me. Big fan. Been following you for the last 2 years, I believe.
Thank you.
And quite frankly, if you do have a visit around Montreal, just make sure to let us know what event it's about, and I'll try to attend.
It's actually just visiting family is what it is. There's no events planned right now. People asked, would I be willing to do a Montreal meetup? I would in theory, but it's a lot to plan, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah, that's definitely it. That definitely is. Plus, the venues tend to be a bit more on the expensive side and everything.
Really?
Anyway, my question is a bit of a hypothetical
Okay.
and with a bit of a preamble, but I think it's an interesting question to provoke thought.
Okay, if we can limit the preamble because there's 40 people waiting to chat, that would be great.
Just a little one that actually helps keeping that as a hypothetical, instead of assuming that I have a secret method or something.
Okay.
So the hypothetical is, let's say, in a random thrift store, you find a copy of the U.S. Constitution, and that by reading it, you are granted the power to add one amendment to it to fix most of the issue in the long run, probably, that the U.S. is having. What would be the amendments you would magically add to the Constitution?
Oh, I am terrible at these things. I mean, we have so many problems in this country. I don't know that there's one. I mean, maybe it would relate to the financing of politics, but these questions are so tough because they're so unrealistic. And so I don't know. I mean, I think I would declare myself dictator. That would be the one amendment that would fix all of our problems, Guillaume. I don't know.
I know I've been thinking about it, and one that have been floating about in my friend group regarding that was essentially forcing term limits on anything that holds a position of power. So Senate.
Yeah, that occurred to me. Term limit everything. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you want to buy a politician, you have to buy more than the one per decade. So
make it expensive to buy politicians. No, that's an interesting one. Yeah, let me devote more thought to it, and I'll come back with something more substantive.
All right. Well, on that lovely note, thank you for the call. That's the only question I had. So have a great day, and thanks for the great show you provide on a daily basis.
Thank you so much. There is Guillaume from Montreal. We are going to take a very brief break. If you're holding, don't hang up, because we will be right back to the phones momentarily. If you value what we do at the David Pakman Show, remember to support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/David Pakman Show, where you can get access to behind the scenes videos, the daily bonus show, the commercial-free daily show, as well as special discounts on merch, including hats, hoodies, mugs, and t-shirts. You can support the show for as little as $2 a month. Check it out at patreon.com/David Pakman Show. Let's go back to Discord and hear from a few more people. It's great to hear from people in the audience, particularly on a day like today. Let's go to Clark from Portland. Now, is that Portland, Maine or Portland, Oregon, my friend?
That's Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was actually just hopped in the phone call, so I didn't get time to ask or think of a question here.
Oh, no.
So just send to someone else real quick.
Oh, my God. Well, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Are you familiar with Hood River?
Yeah, I love Hood River. I actually work there.
I'm potentially scheduled to go to a wedding there next year. Is this a place I would enjoy, you think?
It's beautiful. I'll tell you what. It's kind of right in between. It's in the Cascade Gorge.
Okay.
So it's right in between the high desert and kind of the coastal range, and so it's a really nice mix of temperate climate and a more arid climate. It's very beautiful. Yeah.
Gorges sound pretty good. I'm looking forward to that then. All right. Well, good. Clark, you think of a question, okay?
All right. Have a good one, David.
All right. Very good. There's Clark from Portland, who did not have a question, but at least was able to answer a little something for me. Let's go next to Mark from Stockholm. Mark, welcome.
Hey, am I good?
You are. Are you Swedish or are you an American in Sweden?
I am Swedish, actually.
Beautiful. I'm not shocked to hear your perfect English.
Thank you. Jag är svensk, over. Anyway, so despite my
okay, I hope that wasn't some horribly racist statement.
No. I just said no. I just said I'm Swedish. I promise.
Okay, very good, very good.
I wouldn't do that, but so despite my tone of voice, I actually do have a really serious question that I don't know if you feel equipped to answer this, but I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark and ask you. So recently, myself, I'm a libertarian socialist. My mom is leaning heavily towards the Christian white nationalist far right.
Really?
And yeah, and I have no idea how to tackle this. I don't know if I should be, if I should stand up for myself, because the thing is too, I came out as pansexual to her and she's totally just dismissive and rude about it. Despite the fact that prior to this, prior to recently, she actually was a pretty liberal leaning person.
So if I understand correctly, your mom is a Swedish white nationalist, and you...
Yeah, I'm not going to...
Hold on, then you can correct it. And you are a Swedish libertarian socialist pansexual, and there's conflict now.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's a big matzo
basically
ball
what it
hanging
is.
out there.
I just want to like make it clear, like, you know, I'm not going to label her or anything. I'm just saying that like she's leaning heavily towards that. I don't know definitively what she would identify as.
Is that a common movement in Sweden? Because Sweden has the stereotype of being so social democracy left wing, you know?
Yeah, well, I'll put it this way. So, like, the stereotype, it actually adds fuel to the fire for a lot of, like, far-right movements in Sweden. There actually is, like, a major, like, pretty, like, far-right party in government right now. The Sweden Democrats. You know, like, they've definitely kind of, like, surfed the wave, if you, whatever. Like, you know, they basically like, benefited greatly from this huge influx of people, you know, looking at immigration and saying like, hey, you know, we're taking in too many people. You know, they look around and like, you know, people have even like posted pictures on like Swedish subreddits and shit. It's like, you know, it's like a picture.
Okay, now
of, like,
let's watch the language, because then we're going to have to bleep it. Pat, please make a note.
I'm not going to,
we need to
Chris,
bleep
I'm not
that.
going to say anything.
Oh, I thought you just dropped an S-bomb. Did you not just drop an S-bomb?
Oh,
No. Now you dropped another one. Okay. All right, everybody.
No.
Let's see if we can get away from this. I have no advice about the mom thing.
Okay.
Question: remind me what pansexual is.
So pansexual is essentially this idea that I'm not limited to gender when it comes to attraction. So like I've found men, women, non-binary people attractive. That's basically the gist of it. And by the way, sorry for like cursing. It's a force of habit. I'll try not to do it.
No, that's okay. So basically pansexual, it's sort of like a whatever sexual, any adult.
Exactly.
Got it.
It's like if I find somebody attractive, they're attractive, no matter what their gender identity is.
Beautiful. All right. Well, I appreciate the call and the insights. And by the way, do you speak English with some of your Swedish friends? Like, how do you speak English so well? It's so common in Sweden.
I make YouTube videos and I listen to a lot of comedians from the US, so I feel like that's about it.
Got it. Hey, and by the way, and we're now getting off topic. It is interesting that in Sweden, everybody speaks American English. Like you would think, being so close to the UK, everybody there might learn British English, but it's not the case.
You would think. And also I was taught like the UK version of English in school, but I never jived with it. So I just kind of like went along with like standard like Northern American English.
Got it. All right. Very good. Well, I really appreciate the call and your insights.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
There we go.
Peace out.
Wow. Mark from Stockholm, really, I mean, saying it all, and only 2 bleeps necessary. I'm going to go to Eric from Cancun, and I'm doing this with significant trepidation. It's been a while since we heard from Eric from Cancun. Eric, welcome. What do you have for me today? Eric from Cancun, you are on the air. Welcome. And absolutely last opportunity for Eric from Cancun, who I know has an agenda every time he speaks to me, but we can't hear him. He's not speaking.
Hello, David.
Eric, welcome. ¿Cómo estás hoy, amigo?
Sorry, my mic wasn't working. I fixed it right now. I want to propose a Zoom call because it seems I've seen the comments of our calls and many are asking if I could be a regular, and that if we can make a Zoom call, I can give you the whole cake instead of just crumbs, slices, and pieces of my mind. What do you say?
You know, Eric, I don't know that my mind can handle more ideas than what I get from you in the short snippets. I don't know that I would be in recovery mode constantly from your high level ideas.
Okay. And in that case, I'm just going to ask you, is your child a boy or a girl?
Is my YouTube channel a boy or a girl? Is that your question?
No. Do you have a daughter or a son?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were asking me the gender of my channel, my child. No, es una hija, es una nena.
Muy bonita. I'm very happy for you.
Eric, that means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Do you have any parenting tips?
How about you do the Himalayan style of parenting? I can explain it. First, you gotta treat him like a princess. Okay. You gotta give it anything you want to have the best life from 0 to 5 years old.
Okay.
From 5 to 10 years old, you gotta treat her like a worker. So you don't spoil her, because if you spoil her, then she will learn how to manipulate you and others.
Right.
And you gotta give them responsibilities so she knows where are the boundaries.
Right. All right. The Himalayan style of parenting. That's very interesting, Eric.
Then from 10 to 15, you gotta treat her more like an adult, that you gotta let her express herself and have her own ideas, but don't criticize this too much, because then she will not want to tell you anything, because she will feel that you will not listen to her.
Right.
And then from 15 to 20 to up, you gotta treat her as an equal. Then you are in the same level. Do you comprende?
I understand perfectly. And Eric, just by the way, is it okay that I'm feeding a 2-month-old pizza? Is that allowed in the Himalayan style of parenting?
I haven't seen it, but even outside of that, I don't think so. Maybe around 4 years old.
Okay, very good. No pizza until age 4. Eric, muchísimas gracias. I really appreciate your call today.
Me hubiera gustado mucho tener la llamada de Zoom. I hope you reconsider it someday.
All right. Thank you very much. There is Eric from Cancun. Absolutely shot out of a cannon. I genuinely thought he asked me the gender of my YouTube channel. I mean, gender is so big these days. I was like, I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. My channel has a gender. Let's go next to, I hope I pronounced this correctly. Is it, oh, wait. Oh, no. This person is actually just listening. Sorry. They don't want to be called on. That would have been a very, very big mistake. Let's go next to Pimbus from Chicago. Pimbus, welcome.
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
So I had a question on healthcare. So, like, I recently broke a vertebrae in my back, so I'm just dealing with all of the bills from the hospital and doctors and all these different places.
I'm really sorry to hear that. How did that happen?
I don't know. I just bent over and, like, I thought I pulled something in my back, so we went to I ended up being so painful I couldn't get up or anything, so we had to call an ambulance. Anyways, the doctor was like, you probably fell within the last month or so, and then I don't know, bending over, like, you know, maybe you had a hairline fracture and bending over just kind of did the deal. But
that's terrible.
Yeah, I've broken other bones and it was the most painful initially, but the recovery has been the fastest out of all the other bones I've broken.
Well, good.
But so anyways, I'm just, you know, dealing with all of the bills for everything. And my dad was born in France, and both of my grandparents still live there. And his main argument against universal health care is that the care that his parents receive in France is not really ideal. He seems to think that, I don't know, doctors aren't paid as much there, so they're not as motivated to provide quality care. So I'm just curious if you have any ideas of how I could maybe dispel that notion to him.
Well, listen, this is a very complicated issue. You know, I can't say that much about French doctors, but I know British doctors, and they are not paid as much. That is absolutely true. Now, whether a British doctor will provide inferior care because an American doctor makes more money, that also doesn't really make sense. I mean, if you're British and you work in the UK and these are the salaries, I don't know that the fact that some doctor in New York City is getting more money is going to make you provide inferior care. That I'm not sure about. But I think one of the things I would like to see the left do is to acknowledge that many countries that might have better systems than the ones that we do, they don't necessarily have perfect systems. And you have to imagine a triangle with three, you know, like it's a triangle, it has 3 points, where there are these 3 elements. You've got cost, quality, and access. And every system is trying to make a dot somewhere between those three. If you go lower cost and higher access, that puts downward pressure on quality, all else being equal. If you have higher cost and higher quality, then you're pulling away from everybody having access. And every system is basically trying to find a point on that triangle. And the French system is not perfect. I've talked about the German system before. We've talked about the system in Singapore. There's no perfect system. The point is, do we want to prioritize quality? And in quality, I include the time you have to wait until you get treatment. Do we want to prioritize quality and or cost and or access? And many countries do better than us on any of those three or even two of those. And then when you say, well, which countries do better on all three, then it becomes a question of for what part of the population. And I don't know that, I don't know enough about the French system to say specifically, but it is not a shock to me that no system is perfect. We've known that for a long time.
Do you have like a system that you think in like a certain part of the world that we should shoot for? I just want to be able to give him a good example.
The best thing, this is so everybody loves to just say single payer, boom, that's it, it's over. I've seen very good results with systems that are a combination of nonprofit, potentially through employer, or maybe not. Maybe it's just employer subsidized, but it's nonprofit and federally administered, with the option to buy up or buy into a private system if you so please, with a safety net system where if you just can't afford it, you get care anyway, which some states in the United States sort of have. And if I recall correctly, I believe the German system is sort of like that. But I'd have to re-up my scholarship on the issue. I've read a bunch of books about it, but it's been 5 years. And so it may not be accurate to say that it's the German system that I'm thinking of.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much, David.
My pleasure. Absolutely great to hear from you. Let's see if we can squeeze in another call. What about Cameron from Seattle, Washington? Cameron, go.
Hello, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Nice. It was very nice to talk to you on this fine morning.
Likewise. Did you have a question today?
Yes. I know that you've expressed your interest in term limits for congressmen, but what do you think about term limits for Supreme Court justices?
I'm in favor of it as well.
Yes. How many years would be a good term?
So one proposal I read suggests that 12 is a good number because with 9 Supreme Court justices, you can create a cycle that makes sense, overlapping it with 4-year presidential terms. I don't know that 12 is actually the number, but it could be. It was either 12 or 15.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well,
that
that's
sounds
the only
reasonable.
question I had. Yeah. Thank you for taking my call.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And on that note, that does it for calls today. I am never able to speak to everyone, and I apologize for that. But I will take calls again and hope to hear from more of you. Follow us on social media. Interact with the David Pakman Show community. See exclusive content. See when we're taking calls live. And stay up to date on other big show announcements. We post daily. Find us on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and TikTok. Let's get into the Friday mailbag. info@davidpakman.com must be spelled correctly. Not the info. Well, actually, it all has to be spelled correctly, but the info part is the easy part. It's my last name that often trips people up. You can send questions, comments, criticisms, praise. Try to keep the trolling to a minimum, even though there's always a little bit, and maybe that's where we will start today. First message is Y-O-U-R, an F-wit Pakman, and they say the full thing with the F. You must support the loony left pedos, and pedos also with an apostrophe. It's all weird, and it does contain the required you are confusion almost exclusively. Almost unanimously in the hate mail that I receive, and also not a particularly substantive criticism. And this entire thing with left-wing pedophilia, not only is it like a strange obsession for many on the right, it really actually seems like it's the right that has a problem with this issue. But let's not make it political. Let's just leave it at that. Another message, not pleased with my commentary. I watched your insulting Herschel Walker video, and I gotta say, as someone who had worked with the developmentally disabled and mentally ill, you should be ashamed. I reported your garbage commentary to Facebook. You do realize people with brain injuries can work? Also, wondering if Walker was a Democrat, would you have still said everything you did? Yes. Guys, first of all, this person seems to be saying Herschel Walker is developmentally disabled or mentally ill or has a brain injury, which the right denies. And now this person is saying, not only is it true, you're bad for bringing it up, David. I was not making fun of anything. I was not saying anything other than this guy cannot speak. He cannot form a coherent sentence. He should obviously not be a valid candidate to be one of 100 senators in the United States, whatever issues he's dealing with. If it's mental illness, he should get treatment. If it's a brain injury, he should get treatment. If it's a developmental disability, full dignity and respect to all of it. And his inability to express himself about even one issue that is important to him should make it so that no voter would say this is the guy that needs to be a senator. That's the point. And that's as far as it goes. Next email is from Sarah. Now, I'm going to have to keep doing this in order for people to understand what's going on. Sarah wrote to me and said, possible scam in your name. David, I subscribe to the David Pakman Show on YouTube. Recently, David included a photo of himself with his child, to which I commented, congratulations. Upon seeing notifications later, I noticed there was a response supposedly by David, but which immediately raised my hackles as a scam. I've copied the text to include with this email, and it's someone that looks like me telling Sarah to DM them on WhatsApp. I want to make, we are playing whack-a-mole with these spammers, okay? I am not trying to contact any of you by WhatsApp or text message. I love all the fans, all the viewers, the audience, love all of you. I'm not trying to text you. I'm not trying to WhatsApp you. I am too busy. And there are dozens of accounts using my face. If you can imagine a face like this, it's being used to scam people into, like, eventually it will be about, they'll invest your money for you, or they need, whatever. It's some financial scam. So if you see any account that claims to be me trying to get you to contact them or saying I want to text you or whatever, report it for impersonation. It is not me. I can talk to you if you call in. Okay? When we take live calls. I am not trying to text anybody. Love everybody with peace and love. I'm not trying to WhatsApp you. I'm not trying to text you. All right, Sarah? Matthias wrote in about monkeypox. And one of the things I really don't like is when people criticize me for things I didn't say. I say plenty on the show worthy of criticism. Criticize me for that, not for things I didn't say. Matthias says, sir, yesterday you mentioned it was homophobic to bring up the fact that the vast majority of monkeypox cases are men who have sex with men. Isn't it a disservice to be dishonest with the gay community? I did not say that it is homophobic to bring up the fact that the majority of cases early on were men who have sex with men. What I said was that it was homophobic not to care about monkeypox because you believe it is only affecting gay men, which is what Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying. Am I this poor a communicator that people thought I was being homophobic or sorry, that I was saying it was homophobic merely to point out a statistic? No, that is not what I said. What I said was there are people on the right laughing this off like they laughed off AIDS for a while by saying, I don't care about this. It's only affecting gay men. And it is not only affecting gay men. I just actually got a message from a woman who has monkeypox, and I guess now she's over it, actually. She caught it 2 months ago. Come on, guys. Come on. That's criticize me for the things that I'm saying. CMA wrote to me about Live Golf and says, I have little confidence you'll pay attention to this, but I'm giving it a shot. I saw your comments about the Live Golf tournament. Please, it is not Live Golf. It's 54 Golf. I expected much more of you, a cultured celebrity. Live is a Roman number, 54, LIV. Placing it in the name of the tournament refers to the number of hits a player would need to make if all the holes were par or something like that. Please, 54 Golf, not Live Golf. I have not heard a single news report, sports channel, golfer, or athlete call it 54 Golf. Okay? Everyone's calling it Live Golf. I get it. I understand Roman numerals, but I've not heard it called 54 Golf even once. So it seems it would be weird if all of a sudden I start calling it 54 Golf. I don't think anyone would have any idea what I'm talking about. All right, CMA? So I want to be understood. That's the priority. Chris wrote in about electric cars, a topic near and dear to my heart. Chris says, David, thank you for addressing the issue of right-wing disgust against electric cars and similarly any type of green tech. I've been driving an electric car for almost 5 years. I've experienced everything that you have, and I agree with everything that you said in this segment. If there was ever a litmus test of right-wing intelligence or lack thereof, the reaction to electric cars is it. Yeah, they really don't understand anything. Another one that I'm hearing is that they're saying, you know, electric cars, you need metal, you need tires, you need, right, but you need those things with internal combustion engines as well. But at least you're not burning fossil fuels when you drive around. I get it. There's still a carbon footprint to an electric car. Nobody's denying that. But they seem increasingly desperate, ignorant, and unhinged in the criticism of electric vehicles. And by the way, no one's forcing you to go and get an electric vehicle. If you're happy with paying for gas and, you know, the noise of internal combustion engines and all the moving parts that can break, and stick with it. Nobody's forcing you to get an electric vehicle. It's just as the technology matures and the charging network expands and the vehicles improve and get cheaper and cheaper, those internal combustion engines are looking pretty antiquated. I think that's the main point. Jason wrote in about fuel prices and has another interesting take on the electric vehicle discussion. Jason says, I don't own an electric vehicle currently and don't benefit from high prices. So high prices are a net negative for me financially. However, based on the need to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, I'm actually to the point where I don't want fuel prices to come down. While I don't want to see the oil corporations benefit, I also think big picture we need to reduce demand and usage in some way. Tactically, I don't know what it looks like. Do you think there's any chance the masses will understand how the need to prioritize the existence of our species or planet has to come before any economic interest? Yeah, I've mentioned this before in a different context, which is super high gas prices aren't necessarily the best for oil companies and gas stations long term because they reduce demand. And this is sort of what the point Jason is making. If gas prices are cartoonishly high, it makes electric vehicles comparatively less expensive because it increases the cost of ownership of a gas-powered vehicle. And Jason is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Brian wrote in about 3D printed guns. You might remember that a homemade gun was used in the assassination of the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And Brian says, if we can digitally keep photocopiers from duplicating currency, why couldn't we use the same concept to keep 3D printers from producing gun parts? Make it recognize a part in any plane and have updates. Just think and keep up the great work. Yeah, this is an important thing. We have seen a lot of people on the right, when presented with the obvious need for gun safety regulations, they go, hey, listen, even if you get rid of guns, the guy in Japan printed his gun at home or made his gun at home. So getting rid of guns won't solve anything. Well, it would, in the sense that most people aren't going to be able to make a gun at home. And the ones that are able to do it aren't necessarily going to do it because it's more work and people are fundamentally lazy. So obviously, will some people figure out a way to print guns at home if you ban the ability to buy a certain gun on the open market? Yeah, but most of them are not. And then you get to the next question, which is, just because you could print a gun at home, even though most people won't, you can also regulate 3D printers in some way. And I know that you could make the case, well, you can slice and dice the parts thinner and thinner to where they wouldn't be recognized as gun parts. Okay, I get it. But the point is, you also can make it more difficult to print a 3D gun at home for those that have a 3D printer. It's weird how they act like we have no agency or ability to control technology whatsoever. Everybody will just print guns at home. Oh, will they? Well, most people don't have printers. And even if they did, you can also limit some of the parts that can be printed. They just throw in the towel like we have no more power. The email is absolutely correct. Send me your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, demands for an apology, hopefully a legitimate demand, to info@davidpakman.com. And the party doesn't have to stop now. We do have the bonus show every single weekday.
Oh, the bonus show where you want to make money. Everybody else that makes money to fund themselves
You
is bad.
can sign up at joinpakman.com. You can use the coupon code BIGVOTING22. Get the bonus show, folks. If Alex Jones doesn't like it, it should at least pique your interest a little bit. See you then.